Oh yeah, I was going to talk about Ferguson and what's going on out in the States at the moment with the shooting of a young 18-year-old man by the name of Michael Brown. Apparently, there was an incident where, this is from the police side, I'll give you the police side of the version first. Apparently that they'd arrested him and he was in the car and he'd escaped and he was running away and the police officer shot him. But two witnesses straight away come out and said that no, that's not what happened. He stopped in the street, held his hands up, and then was gunned down. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen this in the States at all. And I've got a fact: every 28 hours, an African American man is shot by a police officer. That's like 28 hours. You're like, what? So after this, there was a protest in the day towards the police station and towards the police, asking to know what's happened and getting some confirmation. And then it kind of broke into a kind of riot with some looting. Then the following day, yesterday, the protesters gathered outside the police station again, just a bunch of normal people just wanting to get some answers. And all of a sudden, the police came out military style. I mean, the armaments that they had, I don't know if you know of the LRAD system, which is a sonic device that is pointed at protesters and is meant to disorientate you. This is on top of a massive super fucking Humvee thing. Not only did we have that, but we had like use of police dogs and people standing there and being charged down by cops with MP5s. It looked like complete martial law had set in. So Anonymous have stepped up and have said that they've got the name of the police officer that's alleged to have shot him, and they've released it. I ain't going to say the name of it because like I can't say the name of it. It's not him. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to say it. But yeah, it's looking like all of a sudden the United States are reacting to the over-militarization of their police that's been happening for years now, and all of a sudden it's like, well, hold on a second. It's coming to a small town. The population, Ferguson's only got a population of 21,000. So they're now thinking, well, hold on a second. This could be the small town. Majority of the population is African American. But the most of the police force percentage is white. And allegedly, the police superintendent, or the head honcho, has a big flag of a big Confederate flag in his front room. So it is alleged to have said. So there's some real big issues going on there, and things. I think like you're just seeing a police state kick in, man.
Yeah. The amount of pictures and so forth that were coming out of there, and just the amount of footage, and it's a small army against a load of civilians that want justice. Or even, I mean, even if in the worst case scenario, say the police actually did have a right to shoot this man because he was being threatening and so forth, the police should have come out with it and said what actually happened rather than hiding it by cause of violence. Because from what it seemed like from, I think, everybody in the outside world, anybody outside of that city, just seems like the police have made a mistake, a big mistake, if someone's lost a life, and now to justify what they've done, they're now creating more violence to say, well, look what's happening here. You know, we have to be so harsh because there's so much violence in this town. It's losing control, etc., etc. It's almost like they're trying to create a justifiable response to what's happened, and it is shocking. And I mean, America has a huge amount of issues with race relations and huge amounts of racism in that country, from the institute to black people in that country and so forth. And it just seems that this is definitely not going to help it at all. And to see the amount of tear gas coming out. But what I thought was quite beautiful in a way was all the activists around the world and so forth communicating with each other. giving advice about how to not get hurt by tear gas, giving advice of how to deal with the police safely, how to protest safely, how to
That
actually
came that
speak
came
up.
from Palestinians. That came from Palestinians. I saw the tweet and that earlier. Yeah, Palestinians were sending that over, and it was the same with Anonymous with Egypt, wasn't it? It was. But did you see? Sorry to butt into you, but did you see the journalists, the Al Jazeera journalists, getting gassed, CS gassed, right by there, and two other. Well, you see them in the camera, and they fire the gas at them, the tear gas at them. Then, as they run off, the police go and shut all their cameras down. Then there was two journalists arrested in McDonald's.
Yeah, the Huffington Post journalists.
And the New York Post as well, I think it was.
I don't know the other guy.
Those were arrested.
I know the Huffington Post was there, but yeah.
Yeah, so like a crackdown on media straight away. It's like, what? Hold on, what's going on?
Isn't this very reminiscent of what started the 2010 riots in London? The inequality and the suppression of the people, especially the people of the black community, have turned, and they're just not taking this shit anymore. I think, personally, I think that is entirely it. It's not just that somebody got shot, it's the fact that they've been cut, constantly cut to all their services, degrade, they're totally dragged through the mill, and it's one of those situations, again, where you look at it, and in every place where we sort of are and where we go, it seems to be that they're taking it upon themselves to take down a certain community, and especially ethnicity comes into this a lot lately. This is turning into some form of race kind of war almost.
Well, I mean, I would have said, I mean, looking at the Ferguson thing, I would have said from the American perspective, the race issue has always been there anyway. I mean, the police are, in general, when you look at Western countries, I think America's police has probably got one of the worst reputations when it comes to racism. But yes, no, you're right. I think it is something that is coming out from. It's not. I mean, it's not. Their reaction here is not because a man has been shot. I mean, it is obviously that's more like a spark of enough's enough. In a sense, that I think this has been building up almost like across the West. As you said, you can see it in the London riots where one man, an unarmed man, which then the police, well, we know the story. And that acted as a spark, almost, again, from what is happening in this austerity stuff, and yet we have money for war, but when we ask for, money for schools, healthcare, education, and so forth, oh, we have no money, the country's broke, all in this together, to quote a Prime Minister, and yet we managed to spend billions on weapons, and even more so on surveillance and security. So it's a gapping, it's a reaction of that, and what the states need to realize is that just because you gas a load of journalists, professional journalists, doesn't mean that the story's not going to get out there, because the internet exists, everyone has a mobile phone now, and all that you're doing is all this is, I think, is an archaic response to trying to shut down a situation so that they can move in really aggressively, destroy the protest, and then bring back what they would consider civil situation. What they keep forgetting is that everybody has a phone, which is why we could see, for example, as you said, the Al Jazeera journalists getting gassed, because if there wasn't a phone, we wouldn't be able to catch that.
But don't you also think, though, that why you're seeing this and that it comes directly from the Pentagon, that they actually support these projects to militarize the police? That is a direct provocation, and like Kiki says, when you're thinking about this in a race war, you think of the association. If you're a different colour, you're probably a different religion. Well, we're fighting Muslims. It all comes down to this kind of rhetoric that they can simply justify things with that way to push some more archaic views upon us. Because 9/11, like you said just then, you have 9/11. Well, we need more surveillance. We've got to go, and everyone was happy to relinquish that whole counterbalance and margin. Well, we're going to nick more of your civil liberties and rights for your own safety and protection, and you must trust our judgment no matter what. That is never a good thing to have. In empires and in governments that have, and all through history, it has never worked out good. It's ended up falling apart.
It's never worked out well for 90% of the people. Because obviously the people on the other end, I mean, this is perfect for them. And this is something that is very, very old, you know, this method of let's create something, let's create a fear, you know, call it an external threat, call it terrorism, call it domestic violence, call it, not domestic in the homes, I mean, but like violence in your country. And like this thing, I mean, what's going to happen, I think, once this rioting calms down, whatever you want to call it, what that state is then going to call for is probably more power to the police, less power for your privacy. It's like,
which
for
is
example,
exactly what happened with the London riots. Once the London riots occurred, there was an up in CCTV, there was an up in the amount of there was an up in the amount of police that were involved in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like that same thing.
Cave's gone. I'm in. Cave's gone.
One in, one out. We're doing tag team. We're doing tag team chats now.
They don't want us in together.
But no, she was 100% right with the London riots.
Yeah.
100% right. It was like with David Cameron and his you know, Cameron's internet safety wall. Did you see that when they he said, "Oh, it's for the children, it's for the children." When afterwards it came out with the leaks that actually they were trying to move in and effectively monopolize the internet to the point where the government could see and control everything. Of course, it never worked, and what ended up happening is that it ended up blocking all these sex education sites, as well as GPT news sites, and all the rest of it, which they quickly reversed because it was one of the worst thought-out policies this government has yet to do. I'm pretty sure they come up with.
So
You couldn't come up with anything bunch of people.
They blocked all the like Childline and SPCC and all the help things for kids.
Yeah.
When it first went through.
It just shows that.
But Childline's probably a good thing anyway. It probably did a few kids favour.
Well, it's meant to filter out the calls of elitists anyway, weren't it? Kids that were trying to get MPs and things like that, and celebrities, filter out the calls of the ones that have been. Well, that's apparently what said. I believe the people over the politicians. So, yeah.
Wow, because people who say also have been saying a lot of things about Richard, which his house was raided today, wasn't it?
Yes, his house. Cliff Richard's house was raided today.
Yeah.
I saw it. P saw it. I think P saw it before me. And then I was like, "Oh, have you guys seen this?" And he's like, "No, I've just seen it." And I'm like, I couldn't believe it because it's what's been a lot of people say as especially with Elm House and links that apparently he had there and his name being changed and him going allegedly.
Well, I don't think there's going to be much.
Allegedly.
I don't think there's going to be much mistletoe.
Yeah, we're
Oh, that's. I don't know whether we can condone any like kind of Cliff Richard joke. Whether we should applaud you for your outstanding wit, or
my
just groan at you for your bad taste.
Yeah, I can't wait till a lot of them are bloody slammed in prison. I really can't.
Yeah.
Next convo.
It's all over now, and you know, the
Please
young
break it
people,
up.
right? Young people, they must have started when they was young. It seems to me that they're just like throwing the old codgers at us to appease us a bit.
Yeah, like get themselves off the hook for the real daddies that they want. Do you know what I mean? It's hide these buggers so we'll out Rolf Harris. He's nearly dead. We'll out Cliff Richard. He's had his time and earned the money that we really needed. Nobody alive really cares about it anymore. Well, you get the odd person. It's like, ooh, Cliff. It's like, yeah.